With Walt Disney World being as large as it is, the Disney company has a strange luxury where if they no longer want an attraction, they don't have to demolish it in order to make space for new things. This has led to an interesting precedent for the Disney World parks, where Disney can just leave unwanted attractions to rot. They just abandon them, and then that's the end of it. Some examples being Discovery Island, which is an island in the middle of their Bay Lake, where they used to have a bird sanctuary that is just literally just left abandoned for years and is like overgrown and rotten. And then there's also Disney's River Country, which was a water park that is right next to the Wilderness Lodge near the Seven Seas Lagoon, and that is also now all overgrown and rotten. And then we also have the Old Wonders of Life Pavilion in Epcot. Disney pretends that these attractions never existed, but the fans have never forgotten and wanted to see what became of these old attractions. Urban exploring became a very popular trend online thanks to YouTube, and Disney World was not immune to it. Now, places like River Country and especially Discovery Island were not the easiest places to get to explore, but at the time, Epcot security was surprisingly lax, and it was called Baby's First Urban Exploration, and people would sneak into the Wonders of Life Pavilion and take a walk around. It was particularly safer than the other places to explore because the building was still partially used for festival storage and it wasn't falling apart, so this was an exploration hotspot. Roaming around the building, the explorers would eventually come across the old Cranium Command show, which featured an adorable fan favorite animatronic named Buzzy. And upon exploring the theater, people found Buzzy where he was all those years ago, sitting in his little chair high off the ground, looking out over his theater, where he used to teach guests how the brain communicates with different parts of the body, all alone. People were shocked that he was still there. Soon enough, people would sneak into the pavilion just to check in on Buzzy, see how he's doing, and to gauge whether or not that Disney might bring him back one day out of retirement. He was visited a lot until that fateful day. December 21st, the news broke that Buzzy was gone. And not just gone, but stolen. The shock of this find rippled through the Disney Parks community, and soon everybody was asking, begging, pleading, someone please tell us, where is Buzzy? Welcome to Strange Ride, where I tell the smartest man I know the weirdest things I know. My name is Savannah Barrett, and I will be your guide today, but you're not the only ones going on this ride. I have Shannon Landers back again for another Disney episode.
Hello!
And about Epcot, too, which is awesome. And then, of course, we have the smartest man I know, Rob C. Thompson of Occult Confessions fame.
Walt, you've abandoned the wonders of life. Also, what happened to all those birds?
They were moved to Animal Kingdom.
Oh, that's a relief.
That's why the park ended up shutting down, is because they were like, why do we have a bird sanctuary when we have a literal, like, zoo?
But Buzzy.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking the birds took Buzzy.
The birds wanted
Carried him off.
revenge.
They're in Julia Roberts'
Well,
pool
what does
now.
Buzzy look like? Is he a big guy?
He's not. He's a little guy.
Oh.
I think I'll get into all of that.
Shannon's already worried about the logistics of this.
Okay. I cannot wait to talk about this. I'm so excited about this. This is actually a very special episode to me because I remember watching in quotation marks this live on Twitter. I remember going on Twitter one day and everybody on Twitter freaking out, being like, "Oh my God, somebody stole an animatronic from Disney World!" And I was like, "What? How is that possible?" It was amazing. It was like the best time on Twitter I've ever had, and yes. And I wanted to apologize for how long that intro was, but there was just a lot of information I needed
It's
to get
all
out.
right.
I had to
We
set the
needed
scene.
Some intros are longer than others.
I wish it was longer.
Shannon was getting into the zone. She thought she could sit this one out.
Oh, yeah, I've been listening to a lot of, like, murder mystery podcasts. I'm trying to put the clues together.
This is perfect for that. Oh my God, maybe you can help solve the problem that we're about to face today. Would you like to talk about some of our Patreon things?
Yeah,
Rob?
hop on over. So Savannah's been busy on that Patreon, as have I. We've done our episode on Barbie, and there's a Baldur's Gate episode coming out soon.
Mims and I talked about Baldur's Gate for probably like 2.5 hours. I'm editing it.
But there's no like hot takes in the whole thing, or isn't it just the three of you just losing your minds over how awesome it is?
Pretty much. I said in the episode that we didn't invite you because you didn't play it and I didn't want to hear what you had to say.
That's a hot take.
Rob wasn't here.
He wasn't there.
I had enough. I had done like 6 hours of podcasting that week, and I was.
But you don't want to hear about sexy vampires?
I mean, I do. Just not in a podcast. Yeah. Yeah, I'll listen to the Patreon.
And then on top of that, we also are trying to start a new series where we're calling it Strange Rivalry, where I guess I will potentially be arguing with people about things.
Mostly Luke, though, right? Or no?
Mostly Mims, apparently.
Oh, what happened to Luke?
Luke is our mediator.
Oh, Mims has got the hot takes.
Mims and I have become this weird little trio where we talk literally every single day. And I love it.
That's news to me, and I'm delighted.
This all started because Mims texted our group chat and said The Empire Strikes Back is a Christmas movie. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so Mims and I are now making PowerPoints and are going to argue our point about me thinking it's not a Christmas movie because it's not, and then Mims thinking that it is a Christmas movie.
I didn't realize they had Christ in the Star Wars movies.
I think that's part of the reason why it's not a Christmas movie. But
they do have evergreens.
I am willing to hear out Mims's argument. And then Luke wants to argue with me because I'm saying The Mummy, featuring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, is the best movie ever made. But Luke says it's a fine movie and that I need to take off my rose-tinted glasses.
Does he like a different mummy, like the Tom Cruise mummy? Or?
I think he says he likes the movie. It's just not the best movie ever made. We'll be arguing about that
eventually,
eventually,
pretty good video game,
apparently.
that Tom Cruise mummy. Let's get into this episode.
I was about to say, we've been talking for long enough. I'm sorry about that. And anyway, we got to hop into the pledge.
Let's pledge it out.
I solemnly commit myself to keep my hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times while on this strange ride.
Strange ride.
Nice job, Shannon.
It's been a hot minute.
You jumped right in.
Almost a year. And this is we're starting out the new year with talking about Epcot again.
That was a big year, man. I felt every minute of that year.
I know.
You just blew my mind. I can't believe it.
Technically we're like 4 months off from a year, but
it's
still,
springtime, right? Yeah.
Well, since I started working on it, though, I researched that Epcot episode forever.
She went and looked for Buzzy, and she went down to the.
I did.
Abandoned wonder of life.
Okay, so. Before I start getting into all the nitty-gritty details about Buzzy's disappearance, I'd like to give you some of his backstory and why you should care that Buzzy is gone. If you guys remember that our first series ever, we talked about Epcot and the dream that Walt Disney had for it that never came to be. The Imagineers at least tried to put some of Walt's ideas into the theme park by making it more educational than the only other theme park at the time, which was the Magic Kingdom. The park was split into 2 sections. Guests would enter in Future World, which featured the Epcot Ball, which has Spaceship Earth inside of it, which is one of the most awesome rides. And then it would also have a bunch of different pavilions that would host different attractions and shows meant to teach guests about the world we live in, our own bodies, and what the future could hold for us. And then the back half of the park was known as the World Showcase, which it still is today. And it's a radial design around a giant man-made body of water that featured themed areas all based off of different countries from around the world, and it's meant to be a sort of celebration of all these different countries and stuff.
But no corporate dictatorships, contrary to Walt's vision.
Well, I mean, they started putting IP more in the park, so so it's slowly encroaching on this. I feel like there's
capitalist.
A lot. Yes. Well, I'm gonna get into the Diz Twitter community a little bit, but there's like a whole group of people that are. I don't know if Epcot purist is like not a harmful term, like a mean term to use, but people want Epcot to go back to the way it is, and they hate the fact that Disney is putting in all these IP things.
Or like Frozen in Norway and that kind of stuff.
Finding Nemo.
Where's Finding Nemo?
In Living with the Seas.
Oh, but Nemo's not like Argentinian or something.
No.
Nemo's in Japan.
No.
In the koi pond.
They also I think they put it right next to Living with the Seas, but Moana now has like this whole little walk-through attraction, which looks really cool, but also I don't know why it's in Epcot. But anyway.
Because Epcot used to be more of a reprieve from all the children's stuff in the Magic Kingdom, and now.
Yes, and now it's slowly taking over Epcot. Disney still does this, although, unless I'm mistaken, I feel like it doesn't happen as frequently anymore. But to help with the cost of running a theme park and hold giant buildings that host shows and rides, as well as everything else you need to run a functional building, they would get different companies to sponsor different pavilions, specifically in Epcot. It's like the Epcot theme park seems like it was completely based off of this model of having different companies. And I think the different countries sponsor like all the different parts of the park. I don't know about the countries. I feel like that is a thing, but
what do you mean, sponsors?
Yeah, that the country sponsored the
yes, I think to some
park.
extent, yeah, they had to be involved, and I believe they did provide some financial backing.
At least in Norway, I know that whole story about Maelstrom. Norway, they had like a really cool ride. Was it Norway? No, I don't know. But anyway, they had a really cool, we should talk about that too. Norway, they had a really cool ride. The Imagineers had this like amazing magical ride, and then they were like, no, we want it to be more realistic. And so then they changed the ride to not be magical, and then like you, at the very end, the grand finale is you pass by an oil rig.
That's as terrifying as Frozen.
I know. Actually, it was a very scary scene, apparently. But anyway, so I also want to apologize. I just got over COVID, and I'm testing negative, but I still have a cough. So I got
vaccinated just in case before I came in here.
But yes, see, now we're back on the Epcot format of constantly doing side tangents.
Yeah. Well, Shannon's here, quietly listening to us.
Oh, I'm planning my random comments.
She's plotting. It's only going to get worse from here.
You're going to love Buzzy. At first, this was a really good deal for Disney, like having all these different sponsorships, because it helped with operating cost. But it would end up causing problems down the line if, say, a company started to have like bad publicity, or the company decided not to renew their sponsorship when their contract was up. And this is what happened to the subject of our episode today, the Wonders of Life Pavilion. Shannon, can you guess what that pavilion talked about?
Wonders of life? Or just like... Is it things giving birth and like animals?
You know what? Actually, it's not just specifically things giving birth, but they had a whole show about how like the pregnancy and giving birth works there.
Wow.
So,
the cervix was a big hit. Everybody loved the cervix.
Were you like a newborn child, like going through on like a little cart?
so, as far as I know, it was just a show. Like you didn't like you just watched a movie. So I don't know what
it was the birth movie, but Disney didn't warn you.
I was looking through like things about the Wonders of Life Pavilion because it said multiple attractions, and I was like, oh, I was under the impression there was only 2, and then I saw that pregnancy one, and I was like, oh, interesting.
It was designed by America's health teachers.
But that's basically what this pavilion was. It was all about health and fitness, and the human body. This pavilion opened in October 19th,
19.
Not that early. The Wonders of Life Pavilion opened on October 19th, 1989, and it was sponsored by MetLife, which is a life insurance company. And it featured specifically, like the main attraction were 2 attractions. There was Body Wars and Cranium Command. And I'd like to take another small detour already to talk about Body Wars, because this ride sounds so awful and amazing at the same time that I want to ride it so bad.
It was popular, wasn't it?
It was very popular. So Disneyland had gotten Star Tours, which is a simulator ride based off of Star Wars. So remember, Disneyland is different from Disney World. Disneyland's in California, Disney World's in Florida. And some of them have different attractions. Anyway, so it was a simulator ride where you'd enter a Star Speeder, and it was kind of like a bus or a plane, kind of like mixed together, and your droid pilot, Captain Rex, would take you on an old-fashioned Star Wars misadventure. And this ride system was state-of-the-art at the time, and Disney wanted to use it for all it was worth, so they found a way to put it in Epcot and make it educational. Enter Body Wars. You and your vehicle, which was exactly the same as Star Tours, minus the Star Wars theming. You were shrunk down to the size of a blood cell and put into a human body to help retrieve a doctor who is stuck in there because she was looking at a splinter stuck in somebody's body.
Classic sitcom plot.
Yes.
Classic sci-fi sitcom plot.
So there you would travel through the body, flowing through the bloodstream and learning about how the body operates along the way. And supposedly, I did watch the ride through, but obviously you can't feel it. But like the vehicle that you sat in would pulsate with the rhythm of the heartbeat of the human that you were inside. And it would swoosh and sway whenever the person you were inside of would breathe. And the simulator rides already have a habit of making people with motion sickness sick anyway. But on top of the sort of gross subject matter, the ride would make people like throw up constantly.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I will admit, I am not a queasy person, but I did watch a ride through of it, and I started to feel nauseous. It's a really disturbing video because it's all out of CGI, but like the CGI isn't great. I'm sure it was like good at the time.
It's 1989 CGI.
Yes.
To put this in context, I just watched a movie from 1989, and Samuel L. Jackson played a black man because he wasn't famous yet. Like that was his character name.
Was just black man?
Just a black man. It's called Sea of Love, but that's neither here nor there.
To do with CGI.
1989 is so long ago that Samuel L. Jackson was not Samuel L. Jackson yet. He was just a black man.
Oh, I understand where you're going with this
there you
now.
Go. Yeah, he was just a character. He wasn't even a character actor. He didn't have a character. He was basically an extra.
That's actually pretty crazy.
It's a long time ago.
We gotta start somewhere.
He's like 100 now.
So. Yeah, Shannon, you definitely wouldn't have been able to ride this ride, I don't think. If Shannon sees blood, she like literally faints.
Yeah.
I don't know what would happen if I become the blood. Yeah.
You're just blood sized. You're down there with it. You aren't the blood. You're riding along with it.
But you see it though. You see the blood cells.
In a cell white, yeah.
And the white blood cells, yes.
They attack you.
like they started attacking the doctor,
Yeah.
and you had to save the doctor from the white blood cells.
Wait, so how are you inserted into the body?
I actually don't know. I'm sure they said
Through
it
the penis. Is that what you're looking for?
It looks like they just inject you through a shot, but like the visual was just like a bunch of lights. So it was kind of
But you're meant to be like rushing because it's a quick motion into the.
Yeah, I'm sure they said it in the pre-show, but it was last night that I was watching this, and I was really sleepy, so I just skipped to the ride
like, give me to the good stuff.
and I didn't watch the pre-show.
Yeah.
Well, because anyway.
It's basically like Osmosis Jones as a ride.
Yeah.
Except none of the cells are they're alive, but they're not like anthropomorphic.
Oh.
They're all like legit.
They're not lovable characters.
They are like legit just circles.
Well, it's like Magic School Bus. Rick and Morty did one of these.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of these.
Yeah, it is kind of like Magic School Bus, except it's just kind of grosser. Anyway, now on to Cranium Command. So this was a show that sought to teach people how the brain works. And so the basic idea is that the brain would have a little cranium commander living inside of their head. And it was their job to help regulate all the needs and the stresses of life by keeping all of the different senses and thoughts working together. So this show would actually go on to inspire the movie Inside Out, which is a Pixar movie that is really popular. I feel like everybody knows about that movie, and the sequel's about to come out soon. Which it's basically the same premise, except cranium commanders are like little army guys. So anyway, it is Buzzy's first day on the job, and he gets tasked with the most challenging brain there is, a 12-year-old boy. So the theater was themed to look like you were inside of somebody's head, but more cartoony. So it was like you would see the face, but you would be inside of the face, and there'd be two holes where the eyes should be, and like you could see what the boy was seeing through those eye holes that were TV screens. And then the inside of the head wasn't like muscular, thank God, it was like mechanical. So it looks really cool, and there's plenty of pictures and stuff online of it. Yeah, so you would sit there and you would watch Buzzy, who's up on this chair, and he's not arguing, but he's trying to get all the different parts of the brain to work together, and like the stomach keeps busting in and being like, I'm hungry, and he's like, I'm trying to feed you, man. And then the heart would be like he like looked at a pretty girl at one point, and then the heart was like, why are we so excited? Or something like that.
The heart should know.
It was kind of hard to hear. Maybe they were saying that. But anyway, the main thing that they were focusing on was the left brain versus the right brain, which were the most prominent characters, and Buzzy eventually gets them to work together at the end, and then all the things sort of fall in line once the left brain and the right brain are working together.
Philosophically suspect, this analysis of the brain, but that's okay, Disney. I'm fine with it, I guess.
It was for children.
Yeah. But that's where we get our misconceptions about the brain and all this. It's all right. It's fine. We're not really left brain, right brain. Yes, kind of, but really, like, they work together all the time. Like, it's not like your right brain checks out when you're making art. There's this idea
that was what the show was trying to tell you.
But so that there are creative components of your right brain, and there's scientific, analytical components of your left brain. It's just like, it's like an easy.
Yeah.
It's a simplistic way of viewing it.
Yes.
Yeah. We also don't have like the notion of commanders like gives us the misimpression that we aren't our brains, that like there's a separation between our body and our brains, but we are body brains. Anyway, listen to the other podcast. Get into these issues, but it's okay, Disney. It's for children. I understand. But what did Buzzy look like?
So I actually wrote this in a different
What does my commander look like in my head?
I realized that I didn't actually write in that section about what Buzzy looks like because I was so excited to just be talking about Buzzy.
Inquiring minds.
He is an adorably big-headed, blue-eyed cranium commander. So basically, like, they were humans. The cranium commanders looked like humans, but he was very, very short. He was very childlike. And so, yeah, he had a giant head, giant eyes, and he wore these giant round glasses. He had a green hat, giant headphones, a bomber jacket, and then he had tan pants and boots on, and he was ready for battle to help make this 12-year-old boy have a good day.
That's the battle we should all be on.
In my head, Buzzy was like an orange fuzzy little guy that's like a little like a Muppet almost. I didn't think it would be like.
I was expecting a bee.
Yeah, well, okay, so I personally feel like Buzzy kind of looks like a bee, and because of the name, every time I saw a picture of him, I didn't know about Buzzy until he went missing. So I thought he was a bee, and I was like, oh, he's just a bee in like military clothes. That's kind of weird and cute. And then when I started doing research for this, I was like, oh no, he's human. He's a human.
I have no excuse for the orange fuzz. I just pictured like Buzzy, orange.
Did he have a buzz cut?
His hair was kind of curly, I feel like. It looked, at least. But he had a hat on, so you didn't really see a lot of his hair. That was the basic gist of Cranium Command. In 2001, MetLife ended their sponsorship of the Wonders of Life Pavilion, and it was a death sentence for the pavilion. So Disney would now be solely responsible for the upkeep, and since they were not used to this, little to no funds were allocated to this.
They put all their money in Snoopy.
No, they didn't. They don't have Snoopy. What are you talking about?
I think MetLife, isn't that Snoopy?
Oh, you meant... I thought you meant
Not Disney. No, MetLife. Pretty sure they bought or they invested in Snoopy as a mascot.
I'm pretty sure MetLife.
That's expensive. Snoopy doesn't come cheap.
Snoopy's not on there at the moment. Maybe
got the
they
boot.
lost the right to Snoopy.
You can Google who owns Snoopy.
It's Shannon Landers. Oh no! It's an M. Night Shyamalan twist.
I thought you were talking about Disney, and I'm like, what the fuck?
No. But MetLife did go hardcore into the Snoopyverse.
Yes, they did, and they dropped the sponsorship in 2001, and so it started to very slowly fall into disrepair, and its attractions, particularly Body Wars, were becoming outdated because the CGI was made in 1989.
And Samuel L. Jackson was a black man.
And then, because of that, the public also grew bored of the outdated attractions, the rundown building, and because Disney wasn't allocating funds to change the building at all, so people were like, oh, it's the same old thing. It's not changing. I don't want to go see it. It would become seasonally operated in 2004, and then it would finally shut its doors permanently on January 1st, 2007. Disney would then proceed to remove signage from their maps and the outside of the building to deter guests from trying to enter the closed building, but left it basically exactly as it was the day it closed. It would end up becoming a place that hosted the different Epcot festivals like the Food and Wine Festival, and it would also become storage for the festival's vendors. They would put up temporary walls and remove the signage of the attractions, so that way when people were visiting the festival area, nobody would be any wiser about the fully built and still relatively functional attractions that were only like feet from them.
What they were missing.
I know. Well, this is where urban exploring comes in. So, with posting videos on the internet starting to become more popular, this ushered in a new trend called urban exploring. Have you guys heard of this term before?
Yeah, I think Bree showed me some videos, or like a video of like this couple talking about, because they would go to like haunted houses, or is that different?
I feel like that could fall in urban exploring, but the main thing with urban exploring is that it's people exploring abandoned places. Like, it has to be completely abandoned.
Potentially dangerous.
Probably. So, urban explorer fans, I'm sorry, but you guys are, that's not it.
You lose.
So, this is essentially people breaking and entering into old abandoned places and recording what they find. And it can be really neat to see these old abandoned places and how they were left and how nature has reclaimed them. But it is still breaking and entering, which I'm not a narc, okay, whatever, like breaking and entering, whatever. But also, it's just incredibly dangerous.
Yeah,
Like,
it is dangerous.
You could die very easily doing this, and so that's my big thing about it. And then especially when you do it in a Disney park, because there's no way you're going to catch me doing it, because I'm not getting a lifetime ban from Disney parks. And
it's probably less dangerous. Like, when I think about urban exploring, it's like falling through the floor is my number one thing that I'd be worried about. But Disney, you don't generally do that.
Savannah, I think there was that one time in high school we did a little bit of
we did actually. We did a little urban exploring in high school.
But that was back then.
And
Never again.
We did almost get stuck in the basement, and
I think it's like a little Catholic school now for children, isn't it?
maybe we shouldn't talk about us breaking and entering. Okay, anyway, so urban exploring.
It's a thing people do. And Savannah disapproves. You may not believe it, but she disapproves.
I guess I don't necessarily disapprove. I'm not doing it. And
Except that one time.
Except for that one time. When I was in high school, I was a lot dumber back then.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
But anyway, but yes, Rob, like you said, doing it in a Disney park is safer because, like,
yes.
Potentially, because like there are some people who have like swam to Discovery Island, which is incredibly dangerous because there's fucking alligators in that water that have eaten people.
Didn't Walt swim
World.
naked with them though? So they're pretty chill.
But it wasn't in Bay Lake. It was in what, Pine something.
I can't remember. All I know is his friend wouldn't go or something.
No, Walt wouldn't go
because they were naked.
His friend went, yeah.
Yes, because Walt didn't want to swim naked, but he wasn't afraid of the alligators as far as the book made it seem.
So what we're saying is the gators will leave you alone if you're naked.
I mean, maybe those people were naked when they swam across the Bay
Don't
Lake.
sue us.
The gators are just like...
Florida man swims naked, sues podcast.
So even though that these places are abandoned for many different reasons in Disney, like some of them are not falling apart and stuff, it is still incredibly dangerous. And I honestly think it might be more dangerous than like an abandoned building because it's a theme park. So it has a ton of electricity and technology that you do not know. And like all this other stuff that like crazy wires everywhere, literal robots, like
You're just having a Five Nights at Freddy's freak out.
I literally, when I said that, I was like, they're going to come to life and kill you and stuff you into their animatronic suits.
Well, some of the whirling, like the moving parts can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Disney employees have died that way.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Like theme parks are already dangerous enough, and then you're walking around unauthorized in a place that you have no idea where anything is. It's very dangerous. So I'm saying don't do this. nobody, I am not endorsing urban exploring at all. No one can turn to this podcast and say, I almost died urban exploring, so I'm going to sue you.
But naked gator swimming, that's another thing.
I also don't condone that, but take it up with Walt Disney and the guy, with John McAllister or whatever, who... Either way, between its closure in 2007 and up until, I believe, 2018, the Wonders of Life Pavilion became a hotspot for urban exploration. It was just surprisingly easy to get into. So the pathways to get to the building were still there, just roped off, so you could very easily duck under them or just unclip the rope and clip it again after you. And then it was even easier to do when the festivals were happening because you would be allowed in the building already and you would just have to slip behind like a curtain or like a thin fake wall, and then you'd basically be inside of Cranium Command or the Body Wars. Like, people would go into the queue of the Body Wars and they saw that the ride vehicles were still there, and then this is when people went into Cranium Command and saw that Buzzy was still there.
How tall was he?
He was so short, but he was so... I can't tell you because, like, in the pre-show he's a cartoon character, and then in the animatronic form he's probably like 3 feet tall.
Okay.
But he is sitting down and he's perched up on this like little arm thing that would move him around the theater as he was talking to the like different parts of the brain. So he's elevated, like, I think it was around 10 feet in the air. So being able to enter the theater and see it still intact is one thing, but a whole audio animatronic and one as beloved as Buzzy just sitting back there, this made the fans go wild, and urban explorers would go back there to check up on Buzzy and see how he was doing all the time. And it seems like most of the time these explorers were harmless, so like, fine guys, if it's your hobby, it's okay. But they only ever looked and then they didn't take anything. But in 2012, some explorers noticed that Disney had put a single spotlight shining directly on Buzzy, which is, the pictures of it are hilarious because it's sort of horrific because it's literally just a pitch black room and then a bright light beaming on Buzzy's face. And that's the only thing you can see in the room.
And that was intentional?
It was intentional because some urban explorers went in there and they stole his gloves. So, like, they managed to climb up there and they took his gloves. So, because he didn't have anything underneath his gloves, he only had his little metallic fingers still showing. So, and I think Disney put the light up to deter more vandals.
I mean, you're saying Disney, but it could just as easily be like a Disney employee or a couple of Disney, like 20-year-olds who are like, oh man, you're messing with Buzzy.
Poor Buzzy. But he was left there all those years alone. Okay, but so let's fast forward to 2018. Diz Twitter is becoming like a pretty big community. I was a member of it. I technically still am, but my Twitter has been completely taken over by Baldur's Gate 3 content, and that's like literally all I see on there now. So I hardly see anything about Disney anymore, but I still follow a bunch of people from Diz Twitter anyway. But so I don't know this for a fact because I couldn't find an official start date. But from what I've seen, the account Backdoor Disney appeared on Twitter in 2018. This was an anonymous account that would post never-before-seen backstage pictures, rides with their lights on, places guests would never be allowed, and basically things only cast members would ever see. So this account started to gain a lot of traction because, admittedly, some of the things were pretty cool. To see behind the scenes of different attractions was, like, super cool. And I remember seeing their Twitter pop up every now and then and looking at some of their posts, but I didn't follow them because I personally don't like to see the behind the scenes at Disney. But there were some cool things. Like, some of the weird ones were like cast members doing inappropriate dances in the like the Mickey Mouse costume and stuff like that. And like,
so this had to be a cast member then?
It did, yes.
Or a technician or somebody who's an employee of the park.
Yes, but then they also said that they took submissions and that it was completely anonymous. So like they could say, I just take things, like I'm not actually an employee. But that was their big thing, was like they were just like an anonymous name. I mean, like anonymous face. Like they did not put their real name anywhere or anything like that. And a lot, they kind of became I feel like kind of infamous. Like, I remember seeing a lot of people upset with them because, well, one, people were like, you're ruining the magic. And then two, they were kind of antagonistic. Like, people would be like, oh man, like, you're ruining the magic. And then they would say mean things back to those people. And it's just like, if you're running an anonymous account all about just posting pictures, why are you responding to people like that? Anyway, things started to get really weird on December 6, 2018, when Backdoor Disney started tweeting like an anime villain about Disney. So this is an actual quote. His I found like a Twitter archive of all of his tweets, and this is actually what he tweeted. I decided to try and please Disney by taking down some of the content of my YouTube videos. Now that they have angered me, my videos have been listed as public and the posting continues.
I picture, like, did they, like, speak with, like, a mask and have, like, little YouTube videos posted out?
No. So, the YouTube videos, he definitely would have done that. I totally
with, like,
believe
Mickey
it.
ears.
Yeah. So, the videos that would get posted were things like behind the scenes videos, or like somebody walking, and they would purposely like not have audio or something like that to hide the identity of people. I did try to find some of their older YouTube videos and I couldn't. They obliterated their channel. The channel still exists, but there's no videos on it. Okay, but they tweeted that tweet at 9:15. Then at 9:52, they tweet, Disney has been contacting me. Obviously, my identity has been compromised. They are wanting information on some other people. At this point, you're not going to find me in the parks, so you guys just keep chasing your tails.
Oh my God.
And then an hour later, so like this is just like, he must be sitting there stewing about this, whatever pissed him off. And literally an hour later, he tweets, this is my favorite. Every tweet of mine gets printed out and put in a folder. Keep printing, boys. Just another page in your folder. Maybe instead of watching me, you should be watching your intellectual property that keeps getting stolen by people that are unrelated to me. Thinking emoji.
Oh my God.
This is a real person.
Who hurt this person? Like, why?
Apparently Disney. This is a real person. That's on December 6th, and people are like, what the fuck is this guy tweeting about? But
Plot twist is actually Buzzy. Twitter.
He's been in the dark all this time.
He let Buzzy alone for too long.
I took off my gloves.
they took off my gloves.
He took them off himself. The gloves are off. It's time to tell the truth.
Okay, so then like almost a month later, on December 21st, the Backdoor Disney account vanished without notice. And a prominent member of Diz Twitter speaks up about this and drops the bombshell. So this is at Dreamfinder Guy on Twitter, and he's like the end all be all of Epcot knowledge. And Dreamfinder, for people who don't know, is an obscure Disney character who was was one of the original characters at Epcot, who was in Journey into Imagination
with Figment.
Yes, well, except it wasn't that at first, and everybody hates the version with Figment. The people love Figment, but it's like Journey into Your Imagination.
Oh yeah, I know
think
what you
is
mean.
what it was changed to, and then people were pissed that it didn't have Dreamfinder or Figment in it, and so then they changed it again, Journey into Your Imagination with Figment, and people don't really like this version, but at least it has Figment in it, and that's the version you can see right now.
Yeah, in the 90s, Epcot was all about Figment.
Yeah, people are still all about Figment, but
Yeah.
people are trying, like, that Dreamfinder guys are not
He was
Dreamfinder.
around, I think, in the 90s, right?
He was
Yeah.
like Figment's dad.
Right, you like carried him around the park.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He wasn't Figment's dad, but that's how I picture.
And he's like steampunky kind of. Yeah.
And he had this super cool like thing that he would fly around in at the end of the ride, and people loved this character.
Who's Figment? Sorry, I might have missed that.
Sorry.
It's a little purple dragon.
Yep, little purple dragon. And he's like meant to inspire like creativity and imagination and stuff like that.
The figment of your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
You imagined him.
He's actually very cute, but anyway.
He was like he was the cute of Epcot, because Epcot was a generally not cute place. It's just like full of like Russians and stuff who are cute. Don't get me wrong.
and blood rides.
Yeah, it's like
Ride for your ride to
China
blood.
and Russia, like 1776, and like George Washington, and then Figment was like your cartoon guy. Otherwise, it's George.
That's a good way to
And they tried to take him away.
They did. Because I don't even know. That's a whole separate issue.
Couldn't come up with a movie for him.
Probably. Okay, but anyway, Dreamfinder guy tweets. This is December 21st. Okay, I've got an update on Backdoor and a major news story is to break. Buzzy was stolen from Wonders. Orange County Sheriff's Department was convinced he took him, so they got a search warrant and didn't find him. Twitter page is down for now. Please contact Orange County Sheriff's Department if you know anything about Buzzy's whereabouts. And this sent Diz Twitter and myself into a tizzy. The people were freaking out. Oh, now I had not personally known about Buzzy until this incident, but an animatronic getting stolen from Disney World, like, come on, that is like so exciting. That's amazing. Unbelievable. Also, it's just like, how could that happen? There's no way it's possible. And then all over my Twitter feed, people were tweeting like hashtag find Buzzy, and everybody was freaking out. They were like, where is he? And then the next day, Backdoor Disney created a new account by the name of Backdoor Disney for now, with the Twitter handle at BDD will never die.
BDD?
Oh, Backdoor Disney will never die. Which I also think is very cringe.
So did they not have cameras in this building?
That is something I'm not sure of, and I don't think they did, or at least I'm thinking that like it's either maybe be like they didn't work because the building was old, or I don't know, or maybe like there just wasn't power in that part of the building or something, because none of the lights were on and stuff in those rides. Like when you see videos of people back there, they all have flashlights and stuff. I do not know about that.
It's so wildly lax. Like I hear you that like the notion that an animatronic should be stolen, but everything you've said, this like, if there were people posting videos on YouTube of like breaking into our theaters, like I would stop that pretty fast. I wouldn't just like put a light on and like just hope that spooks them.
They put a spotlight on Buzzy, but they didn't think to put a camera up. They're like, let's just light them up and now scare them away.
Or maybe lock the door. I don't know, something.
Disney, come on.
I couldn't tell you. I'm just reporting
It's
the
very
facts.
strange.
At least
It's
use the
on the part of the
gators
corporation.
as a security animal.
Right, exactly. See, they put the gators in the lake to keep people from Discovery Island, but it still doesn't keep them from that. So.
All these nudists keep making it.
Okay, so this new, even more cringy version of Backdoor Disney, which is like being like, Backdoor Disney will never die because...
Without a shirt.
Fuck this guy. Don't you dare. I would say Backdoor Disney did die, and I'm glad. It's the shirt I would wear. But anyway, so he tweeted literally the day after this and added fuel to the fire. When he was removed, the hydraulic lines were cut while pressurized. A large amount of hydraulic oil spewed everywhere. The police showed me photos of this. It didn't look like it was carefully removed. So, this is a really interesting tidbit, I think. I actually DM'd the Dreamfinder guy on Twitter the other day, and I think like literally last night. And we had like, it was probably like a 2 to 3 hour long conversation about this whole situation, which was awesome. But because he was the one who broke the story, I wanted to like be like, where did you hear this information? And it turns out that he actually was told about Buzzy going missing like a month before he tweeted about this, but he didn't believe the guy who told him. And it wasn't Backdoor Disney who told him. It was some other guy by the name of Flurbex, which is like a Florida urban explorer, and that's like his whole shtick, but he hasn't posted a YouTube video in like 2 years, so it's like...
So in that space of time, nobody broke that news.
No,
I see.
that guy says... The Flurbex guy says that he got like texted by a cast member being like, oh my God, Buzzy was stolen.
Oh,
and then
so no one had actually been in there to see it. Absent.
No.
Yeah, I see.
No. And yeah, and like everybody just assumed that Buzzy was still there until and like Dreamfinder Guy and apparently like Backdoor Disney was a part of that conversation, and they both were like, "You're crazy, man. Like Buzzy's still there." And then
Backdoor Disney said Buzzy's still there.
That's what Dreamfinder Guy made it sound like, is that him and Backdoor Disney were both like, "No, Buzzy's still there. We don't believe you."
But there was this odd disappearance of Backdoor Disney as well.
Yes, that happened right before the news broke that Buzzy was stolen.
Very suspicious.
Very suspicious. But also, I think it's crazy that like they were told ahead of time, and not on Dreamfinder Guy, because I also would have been like, dude, if an animatronic was stolen, people would know about it. Also, how would an animatronic get stolen? I totally wouldn't have believed it either. But what convinced Dreamfinder Guy and made him tweet about it was that Backdoor Disney, I guess, DM'd him and was like, "Hey, the cops just came to my house looking for Buzzy." And Dreamfinder Guy was like, "What?" And so like, yeah, the cops apparently showed up at Backdoor Disney's house and with a search warrant to look for Buzzy. And so then Dreamfinder Guy tweeted about Buzzy being stolen, and that is what like set off this whole thing.
I wonder what the criminal charges would be.
Theft.
Well, I will
For
tell
theft of
you
property,
in a little bit. I will tell you.
I mean, the animatronic has a certain value, right? So it's like if you walk into this place and steal equipment.
I don't know. For some reason, I was picturing like, but you're stealing from Disney. I'm like, like triple the amount. I don't know.
Well, they have triple the
It
lawyers.
doesn't work like that, but I'm like,
Really, after Backdoor Disney said the thing about the hydraulic lines getting cut and that it looks like it wasn't carefully removed, which suggests that it wasn't Disney that removed it. It was somebody who like cut Buzzy down. That was really all the information that we had about Buzzy for a while. I mean, there was like a bunch of theories and rumors popped up, but there was nothing concrete. And Backdoor Disney did end up getting his Twitter account back and continues tweeting like an anime villain. But for the most part, I remember word just dying down and people at least partially moving on, even though everyone still wanted to know where Buzzy was. So that is until Backdoor Disney gave us some more information. On March 19th, Patrick Spikes, aka Backdoor Disney, posted a video on his YouTube channel titled "Disney Raided My House Searching for Stolen Animatronics." And so he actually showed his face in the video, like didn't use a voice changer or anything, and he tells everybody what his name is. The video was 13 minutes long, and I hate this man. I won't even say man because he's not. He's a guy. I hate him. He has such a smarmy face. His voice, he just sounds like he thinks he's so smart, and I just want to punch him so bad. But anyway.
Not that we have anything against smart guys.
I do.
Oh no.
He spends 13 minutes trying to convince the audience that Disney lied to the police. According to Spikes, Disney falsified Buzzy getting stolen and pinned it on him so that they would have a way to get access to his cell phones and erase all the backstage pictures he had taken and had been collecting.
So initially we were wondering, like, was he just receiving these from people? But he is actually out there doing this himself.
He did get submissions. I feel like a lot of it was submissions, but a lot of it was also things that he actually filmed.
So it was a combination.
It was.
But he was never an employee of the...
He was an employee.
Oh.
Yes.
So, okay, so he had some from when he was an employee, plus he had employee friends who sent him stuff, plus he himself, after he was an employee, went back.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So, yes, but is now trying to say that Disney's lying to the police because they want his backdoor pictures erased so badly. And he claims that, and he was like, they came saying that I stole Buzzy, and like, that's ridiculous. How could I have stolen Buzzy? The animatronic weighs like 300 pounds. Like, how could I remove it? And he also says that he wouldn't have cut through Buzzy's wires because that would basically be like suicide, because like, you shouldn't be cutting through electric wires, which I agree. But then he goes on to point out that like right after all of this and like Buzzy's disappearance, Disney had just announced that they plan to demolish the Wonders of Life Pavilion and start put something else there. And he's like, oh, isn't that suspicious? He really makes himself out to be this like main character in some sort of secret agent movie where Disney is this like super big bad evil corporation, which they kind of are, but anyway, would stop at nothing. Like Disney would stop at nothing to make sure that he specifically was silenced.
What was his job when he was there? Do you know?
I actually don't know. I do not know.
He had to have been some kind of cast member or ride.
He was a cast
attendant.
member. He was probably like a ride attendant or something like that.
Yeah, to be able to get the footage of the rides and with the lights on, right? And the cast members, Mickey Crunkin and all.
I didn't look a crazy amount into his job, but like I also was, it felt a little weird trying to look into all that because I was like, it's not necessarily important. So he even shows the search warrant for his home, and it says on the search warrant that like what they were searching for was iPhone, cell phone, and Disney World animatronics. I'm not really sure if anyone actually believed him, but it did add a lot of information to the conversation, although you have to take everything this guy says with like the biggest grain of salt in the world. Namely, it helped fuel a new fire that was spreading where people were already saying Buzzy wasn't stolen, Disney has him. And then he jumps on that and is like, yeah, Disney has him, and they did it to frame me because they want to silence me. So these were like the biggest theories going around. So number one, backdoor Disney did it, and he's an idiot. 2, Disney is such a big company that things can get lost, and Buzzy was just unfortunately one of those things that got lost after he was removed. He was stolen, but by cast members. Or he just got up and left on his own because he was tired of sitting in the dark all that time. But
it's not likely that... I mean, so Disney stole it and framed him would be the argument, right? Because
That's what
Disney
he's
wouldn't
saying.
remove it without... You know, the hydraulic lines, for example, wouldn't be spewing oil all over the place if the corporation
Exactly.
intentionally removed the animatronic.
yes.
Without trying to frame somebody in some weird, like, murder, she wrote plot.
So to me, the story sort of drops off there for a little bit. It felt like Spikes was just trying to stay relevant and to keep cosplaying as both the secret agent hero and the anime villain in this epic story. And although there were theories, we had no physical evidence of what happened to Buzzy. The only thing we knew for certain is that he was actually gone. I couldn't find if any other urban explorers went to go see Buzzy before he did, or Backdoor Disney did. But sure enough, after all of this, like after having his house searched and shit like that and posting this like psychotic video, oh no, I think he went and did this before he posted the video. Anyway, sorry. He sneaks back into Cranium Command, films it, and shows the world that Buzzy is gone. And with the video camera, you see this like horrific scene. There's no Buzzy. The wires connecting him to his perch were hacked as if it had been cut with like a dull knife. There was hydraulic fluid spewed everywhere. And then it certainly did not appear as if professionals removed the animatronic. But how would you get him down from his lofty perch? How could you sneak out a whole ass animatronic without someone noticing?
And probably covered in oil.
Exactly. And then, like, could you even sell something like that without getting caught? And if Disney removed him...
Sorry, I caught. Whiffy still has like a maintenance cost outfit from when he worked there. He like put on the outfit, and like if you just see someone in a uniform walking around for animatronic, you probably just assume that they have a purpose.
But you don't, right? Like, you don't. You're not like in Disney, and there's just like a janitor's not like walking past you carrying ride parts.
Trash can.
I mean, that's like Disney's whole thing is that you're not supposed to see stuff like that. But I mean, it's possible.
In the night, Shannon's scenario makes sense. Like if
in the dark of night.
when
just, like,
Disney
stay
removes its
behind the
animatronics with dull knives.
Oh yeah, and then also like if Disney did remove Buzzy, why did they do it so sloppily? And then why did they leave the mess? And then why hadn't they said anything about having him? And there's so many questions and so few answers. So, okay, then this is This was a good day on, I'm so sorry. This was a good day on Twitter. All I can say. On May 12th, Backdoor Disney does the ultimate villain move. He posts a picture of Buzzy's severed head on his Twitter account.
Oh my God.
And the caption only reads, Buzzy head.
Buzzy head.
It's accurate.
It is accurate. And it's a horrific picture. That's like a sterile white background. Buzzy has no hair, no eyes, and is missing his glasses. And like he looks like he's all dirty and beat up. And it's an amazing picture. You can find it online, and I totally recommend you do. It's like, it was crazy. And Twitter went wild, and they're like, he just proved that he has it, and he took off Buzzy's head. And it was crazy. But before you get too excited, it was not actually Buzzy's real head. So I'm not sure where he found the picture, but it has been debunked as not being his actual head, but like one of the molds for his head, or like a copy that they did not actually end up using on the actual animatronic. But how psychotic is that you're accused of stealing this animatronic and then you post a picture of its severed head?
Buzzy's head.
It's almost like he wants to be that cool.
He does.
Yeah.
Yep. I definitely think he did it for clout, and like he definitely got his attention.
Did he posted the picture?
He did. He posted the picture.
But you don't believe that he possesses the animatronic.
Well, we'll get into it.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm about to wrap this up. I'm just giving
We're getting to the murder mystery.
Yes.
You're going to Columbo this at the end here.
Wearing Buzzy's head on his body.
A giant.
That's his mask.
It's like Flava Flav. He's got a huge necklace. Wears the whole thing.
So I even said this too. I was like, I guess Spikes was missing his 5 minutes of fame since things on the Buzzy front went a little quiet again. Well, he'd get all the publicity his smarmy face would want when he was arrested only 5 days after posting the picture of not really Buzzy's head.
He was arrested.
He was arrested. So Spikes was arrested by the Orange County Sheriff's Office on the charges of burglary, grand theft, and dealing in stolen property. Now let me tell you the full story of what actually happened. I have read the affidavit multiple times, and it's so much fun. You guys are in for such a strange ride. No, I really do love this story. So Patrick Spikes was a cast member in Walt Disney World and created his Twitter account while employed at the company. July 31st, 2018, he ends up creating a fake name tag under the name of Jack D. Morrow and gives it to his cousin. He then proceeds to enter the Magic Kingdom from the cast member entrance while his cousin enters as a guest through the main entrance. He then lets his cousin in backstage, and the two use the utilidors, which are the underground tunnels that run all throughout the Magic Kingdom for cast members to be able to traverse the park without being seen by guests. And they enter the Haunted Mansion. Here, they steal costumes and wigs belonging to the animatronics in the ballroom scene. So in case you don't know about the Haunted Mansion, like you get to see Ghost at one point, and you pass through this ballroom scene and you can see like the spectral form of Ghost like dancing and celebrating something in the ballroom scene. I don't know
Just
what
a
they're
real
celebrating.
Nice day.
It is a real nice day.
Yeah.
I guess because you can see them finally and they're like, yay. This effect is achieved through the Pepper's Ghost effect, and it's amazing. And I love this ride. It's my favorite ride. Anyway. So the two then smuggle out the costumes without getting caught. They then go to the 7-Eleven that is apparently right behind the Magic Kingdom cast member parking lot and take pictures of themselves wearing the stolen costumes in the 7-Eleven parking lot. Now, what does this have to do with Buzzy? Hold on, I'm getting there.
We were being very patient.
I could just hear it from the ether. That people are like, what the fuck does that have to do
They're
with
like
Buzzy?
yelling at their phones like, what, Savannah? What's that?
Get to Buzzy.
So that was July 31st. August 2nd, Disney World checks on Buzzy and finds that his clothes were stolen and reports it to the police. Yes, I said that right. It was just Buzzy's clothes that were stolen. The animatronic, as of August 2nd, was still where he was meant to be. Disney investigators tell the police that they have an eye on Patrick Spikes and believe that he could have been the one to steal the Haunted Mansion clothes and the Buzzy clothes. And at some point throughout this time period, Spikes was fired from Walt Disney World. So he's no longer a cast member. And I did say Disney investigators, like, they hired private investigators to, like, look into these missing costumes and stuff. I guess I also want to say with the ballroom scene, the costumes that they stole were, like, big costumes. They're, like, dresses and shit. And like, wigs that he stole, too.
I'm sure they're many hundreds of dollars, if not more.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So nothing really new happens until the police are made aware that Backdoor Disney tweeted a picture of Buzzy on October 14th with his clothes still attached, meaning that this picture was at least taken before August 2nd and not recently. So in late November, they speak to Spikes and ask him if he has any information on the missing Buzzy clothes. He denies having any information and the police let him go. They didn't really bring him in to accuse him. They were like, hey, we know that you have this Twitter account. Like, do you know anybody who could have stolen these things? Because you deal with these people who go backstage all the time. And he was like, no. And he left. So this is when the police learn that now the entire animatronic has gone missing and is reported stolen by Disney. So sometime between August 2nd and late November, someone went back and stole a naked Buzzy. Because he didn't have his clothes, because the clothes were stolen.
Well, I mean, unless they had, maybe he was going to go for a swim.
Now he's safe.
Yeah, now he's good to go. He's heard that this is the thing to do. But if you had the clothes, then you just bring it all back together.
Yes.
See what I mean?
Yeah. They couldn't arrest Spikes or, like, really, I guess, not question him or whatever, because they didn't really have any concrete proof that he was the one who stole these things. It was just speculation, but they were able to bring him in to interrogate him after December 18th, because on December 18th, the police were made aware that Spikes had sent a picture of Buzzy's stolen clothes to a current cast member at Walt Disney World. And not only did he send the picture, but the picture was taken in the back of his car with his tan backpack that he had been seen with multiple times. He apparently told the cast member that he didn't take those pictures, but received them. December 19th, Spikes was brought into the police station for questioning. Now, you can actually go and watch this interrogation video on YouTube, and it's honestly hilarious. I love it. It's so much fun. Spikes, as he is waiting to be questioned, is waving to the cameras and posting on Twitter with his cell phone. He believes that Disney is there to bully him. The police come in and show him pictures of the hydraulic fluid and the cut wires, and they ask how he would have cut the wires, and he sort of brushes them off until the police pull out the bombshell. They pull out the picture of Buzzy's stolen clothes sitting in the back of his car, and now he denies that it's his car, and when asked if those pictures are on the cell phone that is now sitting on the interrogation table, he says no. He then says he wants to get an attorney and ends the interview, which he was allowed to do because he was not under arrest yet, and they tell him that he's free to go, but that it has to leave his cell phone because it's being seized and they're going to go get a warrant so they can search it. And upon hearing this, Spike quickly grabs the phone and is almost instantaneously tackled to the ground by the cops and arrested for non-violent resisting. Because literally, I've watched this part a couple of times. I don't think he meant to grab the phone because obviously, like, you're not getting out of the police station with it. I feel like it's a knee-jerk reaction to him being like, I'm gonna get caught. Like, because the cops are like, okay, well, you have to leave your phone, and he, like, deer in headlights look, grabs the phone and, like, tries to stick it in his pocket, and then he gets tackled, and it's awesome.
So I'm sitting in the police station, and I've been, I'm being questioned for having stolen an animatronic that maybe I stole and clothes that I probably have in the backseat, or maybe I've buried them now. But I have photos of all this on my phone. And I'm tweeting rather than going through my photos and deleting those pictures.
Yeah.
Because jail sounds like a good time to me.
Later that day, they get a search warrant for his home, and they find the tan backpack that was featured in the photos of the stolen Buzzy clothes. It then says in the affidavit that when Spikes posted his YouTube video like a few months. This was like, he posted the video like a few months after this happened, that the search warrant that Spikes showed in the video, he photoshopped it. So the actual search warrant said that they were looking for cell phones, and then they were looking for the tan backpack and the Haunted Mansion clothes. His search warrant said that it was just looking for his cell phone and an animatronic. So, like, totally lying to try and make himself look better. Like, I don't know how you thought you could get... This guy is insane. Like, Patrick, I know you're listening to this because you must Google your name like every other day. So, fuck you.
But you made it over an hour in, buddy, so thanks for staying with us.
So listen, I would love to see the tweets about...
Tweet about me, bitch, do it. The next day, the police received the warrant to search through his phone and found all of the pictures of his crimes. So him wearing the stolen merch, the same pictures of Buzzy's stolen clothes, basically every incriminating thing this guy has ever done.
Him faking the moon landing.
A photo of.
Yeah.
Huh?
Him faking the moon landing.
Yeah, exactly.
Killing JFK.
Notably, though, there was no picture of the Buzzy animatronic, or at least not where the Buzzy animatronic wasn't supposed to be. Like, no, in the back of the car, not in his house, nothing like that. So, in the next few months, they trace through his PayPal and find that he had sold around $30,000 worth of stolen merchandise from Disney, including the Haunted Mansion costumes, and Buzzy's clothes. All of the stolen costumes were returned to Disney, including Buzzy's clothes. And interesting enough, Buzzy's clothes were bought by an NBA star, Robin Lopez, who apparently is like a Disney super fanatic. And Spikes told them when they bought, like, because the other guy who bought the Haunted Mansion clothes, they redacted his name. I probably wouldn't have said it anyway. But the Robin Lopez story, like, everybody knows about that. So I was like, I can say that. But yeah, so they returned the clothes. They said that Spikes told them that he had gotten them legally, like that, like Disney gave them to him or something along those lines, which I don't believe. But anyway.
You don't believe he said that?
I believe he said that. However, the people buying it, do you really believe that? The guy who bought the Haunted Mansion clothes apparently like met him in a parking lot.
Oh no, yeah, that's not.
And paid him through PayPal. I'm like,
Doesn't feel very official.
Yeah, but he gave it back anyway, and sure, like whatever. But he wasn't the one who sold them. He just bought them. That was 2019 that he was arrested in May. In 2020, Spikes and his cousin took plea deals to get out of jail time and had to pay restitution, as well as doing community service and being on probation for a really long time. Interesting enough, they took plea deals. He was never charged with stealing Buzzy's clothes, even though we know for a fact that he did. He was only ever charged with the Haunted Mansion clothes, and I don't know why that is, but that is a thing. They took plea deals, so it's not technically a guilty verdict, but the plea deal says that you did it. So, like, you know, he's guilty. He did it. Like, well, there's no doubt about it. He was basically bragging about his crimes on Twitter anyway. He's a nut. This leads us to, where is Buzzy? Spikes stole his clothes. But we still, to this day, this is like 4 years later, have no idea where Buzzy actually is. Personally, before I started talking to Dreamfinder guy, I thought what happened was that Spikes went in there, thought he could steal the animatronic, took Buzzy's clothes off, cut him down, realized how heavy it was and was like, shit. And then also had oil all over him and was like, I can't do this, and left Buzzy there. And then Disney comes in and sees Buzzy's like corpse on the ground and is like, oh no, Buzzy. And then they throw him away. Because that's something that they would probably do. And I felt like that was the most reasonable explanation. However, Dreamfinder guy pointed out to me that it wasn't, like, the police reports say that it was stolen, and it is still an open case, like, in Florida.
So Disney wouldn't perjure itself
Yeah, exactly.
and lie.
Right. like, why would they do that?
There'd be no point to that.
Exactly. Especially because Spikes got arrested anyway. Like, it's not like they were trying to attack him. So, I don't know where he is. Where is him?
It's also weirder that he doesn't have clothes.
Yes, right?
Who has the naked Buzzy?
So,
I mean, you could be right to an extent, but maybe Disney didn't find it. Maybe he got the assailant, the thief got Buzzy to a certain place and then dropped him in the water or something. I'm not even making a joke. Buzzy could be going for a swim.
naked swim.
Decided he couldn't get Buzzy into the car. Buzzy was a mess. It was going to mess up his car, and then found a place to just stash him away. But Disney doesn't know where that is or doesn't want to be bothered to spend the money.
I love the idea of like someone going through all the trouble to steal this animatronic and get all the way to the car. I was like, this is gonna make a mess. And just like leaves it.
I didn't think about the mess.
I left all my Lysol wipes at home.
I just got this car. I'm gonna get oil all
It's a rental.
Okay, so let's talk about just for a second that, like, I do think it would be possible to steal this animatronic because like the security was apparently super lax. Cranium Command was sort of towards the back of the building. So if you had a way to get into the cast member part of the building, you could drive a car right up to the building and probably like get him on like a wheelie cart or something and wheel him out. However, he is still lifted up like 10 feet above the ground. So you have to cut these electrical wires that are spewing fluid at you and not get crushed by 300-pound animatronic. But also, there was apparently like a service lift underneath of him. So like maybe they could have used the service lift to get up there to like cut him down easier. But did the building have power? Like, did that part of the building have power? Then why weren't there cameras? What is going on? I don't know where Buzzy is. And I asked Dreamfinder Guy, I was like, if you, just for fun, if you had to take a guess, where do you think he is? And he said that he thinks that he's with just some, like a collector, like somebody else went in and stole Buzzy and now just has him. And honestly, I hope that's the case.
So like the clothes thing is a coincidence.
Yes. So, okay, so here's the thing, because like Dreamfinder Guy didn't think that Spikes did it. And after all of this information and stuff, I also don't think that he did it. Only because he 100% would have taken a picture of himself with it. He took a picture of literally everything else. He was wearing the wigs of the Haunted Mansion characters that he stole in the 7-Eleven parking lot behind Disney World.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? He would have taken a picture of it.
Then he manufactured a picture to try to appropriate the Buzzy story, the theft with the face, the head.
Yeah, and like I feel like
if he had the actual head, you're saying he would have just gone ahead and used the actual head.
Well, I don't know about that because he never posted the other pictures of him. They only came out online once the police found it. I mean, like the police like searched his phone and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like I know he wasn't that stupid where he'd post a picture of his face doing a crime, but he still had all of them on his phone. And iPhones like tell you everything about like what time, where you took the picture.
Was his face not in the picture with the wigs?
No, it was.
So he is stupid enough to post a picture of his face during a crime.
He didn't post those pictures.
Oh, he kept those private on his phone. I see what you're saying.
The pictures with the Buzzy clothes he was not in, but it was with his like backpack that he's seen with all the time, and then also in the back of his car. The police were very easily able to be like, yes. That's like where this story ends, is Buzzy's still out there somewhere. And I sincerely hope that whoever has him is taking good care of him, and that since he's naked, he's like swaddled up in a blanket and like sitting in a nice display area.
If you or someone you know have any information that could lead to the recovery of Buzzy the animatronic, please contact Walt Disney Corporation at
No, actually, contact Savannah Barrett at Strange Ride and let me have him. No, I'm just kidding. I would give him back. But I do want to say, we're a relatively small podcast. Like, I won't narc, okay? Just tell me that you have him. I won't say anything, and then I'll meet you at a location, and I'll give it back to Disney.
If you're really proud of yourself, we'll give you an episode, though.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Disguise your voice and stuff.
So to me, to kind of wrap up my thoughts on it, Spikes 100% stole his clothes. 100%. There is no doubt about that. I think that Spikes stole his clothes. And then I bet that he was bragging about it because he obviously sent pictures to like a different cast member, and that's how the police were able to like go and actually like get a search warrant for his house and stuff. I think that maybe he was like bragging about it, and maybe another cast member was like, so Buzzy's just like back there like without his clothes, like, and you stole and you got away with it. Maybe I could do that. And I feel like maybe they went back there and they just took They cut him down, took Buzzy, and then they have him, and they let Backdoor Disney take the fall because fuck that guy. And then also because he was the easier target. This feels like the most reasonable explanation to me now.
I could go with that. I mean, I also like my bottom of the bay situation, but...
That would be so sad,
but
though.
it's not... I don't think it's unlikely.
I don't know. Did Buzzy have any enemies?
The 12-year-old boy that he was controlling. No.
He grew up.
Bunch of white blood cells across the hall.
Lovers triangles.
Do you guys have any final thoughts on the Buzzy saga?
I feel content. I feel like I've expressed my theory, and I'm good.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. Maybe they chopped him up so he was easier to transport. Maybe there's pieces of Buzzy scattered.
That's true too. Oh my god. Could you imagine like one day like on like in front of the Walt Disney World entrance that there's just like a cardboard box and then Buzzy's head is like in it. So like before the park opens or something.
It's just sitting there.
The oil's still on it.
Yeah, the oil is still-
This dorky dad in khaki shorts is like, I think this belongs to you guys.
So is this like in a super secluded area? I would feel like at some point there has to be a camera somewhere. I mean, I guess they would have looked into it if there was. But like even like leaving the building or like cameras from like other areas, like I have no idea.
Right. I have no idea how this is possible.
How?
That's why to me it made the most sense. Like I was talking with my coworker Jordan, so I have to give him credit for this theory because he's also a Disney fanatic, so we were talking about this, and I was telling him, like, I have no idea what could have happened to it. And he was the one that was like, what if he tried to steal it and then couldn't and then just left it there and now Disney has it? And I'm like, that makes the most sense. But then the issue comes with if Disney reported it stolen, which they have, because the affidavit even says so, that they'd be lying.
Yeah, they're not. I don't think they're going to lie to the police about something like that.
No. Unless...
White collar crime, maybe, but not that.
It just wouldn't make sense to lie to the police about that. It wouldn't make any sense, especially because the clothes were already stolen. So, like, it's not like they were trying... Like I said, they weren't trying to get Spikes like this dude thinks it so. But apparently things in the Walt Disney Company, because it is such a big company, do go missing from time to time. And Buzzy was red tagged, which means that they were planning on demolishing the building, but red tag means like it has a big tag that's red that says do not destroy on it, so that when people are taking apart they would know to save it so that they could put Buzzy in the archive. So people are thinking that maybe they did take Buzzy, and like somebody took Buzzy when they were like, I don't know, cleaning up or getting ready to demolish something, and Buzzy got sat somewhere and then people never realized it, and then he's just lost now.
If Disney lost it.
Yes. And then reported it stolen, thinking that it actually was stolen.
I'm open to that. But why would it be such a mess? If it was an employee who removed it, the employee knows how to drain the fluid. And
Exactly. So it's like everything points to him actually being stolen.
Yeah. And at the bottom of the swimming with the fishes.
And because it's become such a big thing, like, and it's still a big thing, like, the voice actor is like super, the guy who voiced Buzzy is super like active on Twitter and wants to find Buzzy, and he was the part of that made me end up finding the Dreamfinder, because I was watching some guy's YouTube video about this situation, and I was reading the comments to see what other people said about it, and the voice actor is in the comments, and he's like, oh yeah, some guy who's worked at Epcot since day one told me that Buzzy was actually stolen. And I'm like, what? The voice actor said that? And so I started looking more into it, and that's when I found the Dreamfinder guy, and like I found out that he was actually like stolen, and it's just crazy.
We need justice for Buzzy.
We do. Oh, that's where I was going with it. So it's sort of become like a big thing in the Disney fandom now, that like you might see people walking around Disney World wearing shirts that say "Bring him home." Or like "Free Buzzy, find Buzzy." But I love the "Bring him home" one, because like a YouTuber by the name of Offhand Disney made this shirt, and it's a picture of Buzzy with the words over it, Buzzy's face saying "Bring him home," and then it makes me think of Les Mis.
I was just thinking that,
because there's a song in Les Mis called "Bring Him Home," and like some of the lyrics are so funny, where it's like, he's like the son I might have known if God had granted me a son.
Oh, Buzzy.
Bring him peace, bring him joy. He is young. He is only a boy. So every time I think of that, I just start singing "Bring Him Home," and now every time I hear that song, I think about Buzzy.
Oh, Buzzy.
So bring him home, guys. The person who has him, or if you don't want to bring him home, just please swaddle him in the blanket like I was talking about. Make sure he's comfortable. So any closing statements, at least? Nothing?
I feel like I made plenty of statements.
Hello, Editor Savannah here with some notes, actually. So I was thinking about it after we got home from recording this episode, that I was like, wait, why weren't there cameras? So I reached back out to Dreamfinder guy, and he so kindly responded again, and this is what he had to say. So most of early Epcot had no security cameras of any kind. It was simply too high of a cost for too little benefit. Some things, like Spaceship Earth, still to this day don't have any cameras, but rather include other alternative security measures. Wonders of Life only ever had cameras installed in Body Wars. They were live monitored through the tower only because ops needed to monitor the cabins and exit halls for health concerns. There were no reason to keep an eye on people simply enjoying Wonders of Life, but there was a reason to ensure medical attention was rushed as soon as possible to anyone who needed it in Body Wars. After everything closed, no additional security was ever installed because, once again, Disney didn't feel the need to do so. Definitely wanted to throw in that little tidbit because I think that is incredibly interesting. And then also, while I was editing, I realized in the heat of the moment, I said I was watching some guy's YouTube video, and I was like, I should say what the YouTube video was because I really enjoyed that video, actually. I watched a few different YouTube videos. I watched Offhand Disney's, both of his videos that he made on the subject, and actually in his second video, he has links to the archived Backdoor Disney YouTube video where he like reveals his identity. And then also he has links to the affidavit and stuff if you guys want to read it. And the other video that I really enjoyed was George Browning. His video is about half an hour and really concisely with pictures and things also tells the story of Buzzy. I really enjoyed his video, and his video was the one where I was reading the comments and saw the voice actor comment and say Buzzy was stolen, and I was like, what? Oh my god. So definitely check out those YouTubers.
I definitely want to give a big shout out to at Dreamfinder guy. He was awesome. I loved talking with him. He was super helpful and insightful, and it was really cool getting to talk to him about this stuff. And then he has another Twitter account, which is like an archive of the Wonders of Life. The name is Wonders of Life Archive, and the is at WOL Archive. Definitely check it out if you want to know more about the Wonders of Life. Like it has like all this amazing stuff, like all these old pictures and promotional pictures. So definitely check it out. And thank you so much at Dreamfinder Guy. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, Dreamfinder Guy.
Thank you for riding along with us. Please watch your step as you exit, and remember to take all personal belongings with you.
I don't know if it qualifies as urban either, really.
Well, at the time, it at least looked like it was abandoned.
But not urban.
Abandoned enough.
We climbed in through the basement. Like, we were walking out.
There was a guy there just, like, doing paperwork. Excuse me.
So one friend just booked it and left us down there.
This guy's
she was upset
poking
with
holes,
us.
stapling things.
She called her grandma.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, my grandma's in the hospital. I had to go. Sorry, I left you down there." And then, like, later on, she's in the car with my mom. Just like, remember? Sorry,
And her grandma came and picked her up.
Yeah. Sorry, this does not need to be in it.
This could be an after the episode tangent, but yeah, we did do. I actually, when I was writing this, was like, we did do this, but only once.
You didn't video it?
No, of course not, because
so-
we're not idiots, and we're not going to post our crimes on the internet. Also, I guess we probably didn't have like phones that
I'm trying to think
could
if
have
I had like.
great video.
You had to post your crimes on, like,
I
your
had a
back
flip
door.
phone,
Post them
so-
on your fridge.
That's what I was thinking. I might have still have my flip phone.
Yeah, we probably didn't have. Oh my god,
I think I had a camera,
I sound
though.
so old.
To do some old-fashioned crime posting.
Okay, no, but that was fun because so we were walking home from school and we kind of scoped out the building and we were like, we saw a window to the basement. We pushed it and we're like, it's unlocked. And then we looked in and we saw there's a ladder and we were like, that's a way out. So we went back to Shannon's and then we told her mom, and I think we were like, oh, we're just going for a walk. And we waited until it was dark and we went and we climbed into that building. And there were bats. And there were bats. The bats started to attack us.
That's terrifying.
Yes. And then our one friend, Dylan, started going up the stairs and he's like, wait, I think I see an alarm system. Go back. And we all were like rushing out of the building because he's like, we might have triggered the alarm. Even though there was no alarm sounding or anything. And
Maybe the bats were the alarm.
they were swooping at our heads. That was crazy.
It's an old-fashioned system.
I was worried that they would get caught in his hair or something.
Oh my god, that was so much
He
fun.
had a beanie on. They weren't getting caught in anything.
I feel like every episode that we do of this together, it's going to end with us talking about like all these
Childhood.
weird stories that we have together. This is literally just one paragraph that has taken me this long to get through.
We're going to be here all night.
Either way.
I was honestly holding back.
Got so much more to say.
Let's have a whole episode about urban exploring.